All right. Hello, everybody. We'll let some final participants trickle in here and we'll get started shortly. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hello, Terry. See you in the chat. For those already in, check out the chat feature. Good way to collaborate together here today, and answer some questions, comments, interact with each other. Really, that's what today is all about. Um, just a good old-fashioned education session with like-minded marketers and B2B executives. So we'll uh, we'll wait for a few more here, and we'll get in. For those watching, if you could, just type in the chat here. Type your name and where you're coming from. What part of the country are we collaborating with this morning? Maybe it's afternoon where you are on the East Coast. Maybe your company too. Hey, Don, Massachusetts. I hear that's Patriots country. Some people still say it's Brady country out there. I love it. Sarah from Denver. Awesome. I was actually just there myself. My wife's from Colorado, so holds a special place in our heart. Good old mountain air. A little different than Dallas right now, but yeah, awesome. Don, looking forward to the fall. We don't get those here in Texas. It's either hot or cold, tornadoes or baking in the sun or ice storms. Awesome. We'll wait just one more minute. Let the final people get in, and we'll get going. But as a precursor for those here already, today's going to be a fun conversation. I'll introduce myself and everything here shortly, but um, closing deals, using MarketScale to help you more easily get more people participating with you, helping you do an even better job, helping elevate the company. So we'll get into that. It's going to be fun. I've got plenty of examples to share, but we'll wait one more minute. All right. Well, our 60 seconds is up. The minute has passed, so we're going to jump in, y'all. Today, we're going to talk about some fun things around closing deals. How do partners, how do B2B companies and marketers and executives, how do we all help really lend a hand in closing deals? How do we scale, right? I know in the B2B world, a lot of our marketers we're understaffed, and we've got a lot on our plate. We're wearing a ton of hats, and we're trying to do more for our sales team, who's probably always knocking on our door. But how do we align the media, our world, with the sales process? And this isn't necessarily just all about how do marketers align with the sales process. You can get other people. This is all about MarketScale helping you democratize how you go to market, democratize how you create media to support the sales process, to support the growth of the company. There was a famous quote one time at the NASA headquarters back in the day, and I think it was the president asked one of the janitors, who, unbeknownst to him, was a janitor, asked him, what is your role here? What are you doing here at the building? And he said, I'm helping send us to the moon, right? So everyone's got a role in helping align the goals to grow the company. So I'm your host here today, Brandon Fluger. Um, I host my own show called Getting Smart. You may have seen it. I work with a lot of IoT, smart manufacturing companies, really help them tell their stories, educate, and engage their audiences, and really get into the nitty gritty. It's a rather old school place. There's a big, broad spectrum of old school and cutting edge with the likes of Intel or Nokia and Ericsson and those sorts of companies that are just a little bit more flashy, but it all is the same. We're looking at ways to get other people to participate in creating content. So today, we'll talk through a little bit of the B2B landscape and how we really find a balance of professional persistence and really not becoming a professional annoyance. Obviously, in sales, there's a lot of, hey, you're persistent, or hey, you can become annoying. How do we balance that and provide a good experience across the spectrum? With media, you can use guidance and education really to hack into your prospects and pending's headspace without being a pest. So, in this education session here today, we'll demonstrate how sales teams can really scale and align media with the sales cycle from podcast to pipeline. Your organization and specifically your sales team can really build a few things: trust, credibility, and authority in the space. And so after that, we'll get into how you can use MarketScale Studio, the platform, to really start building a consistent schedule, a consistent flow of educational, engaging, and inspirational content without being redundant. So we'll go along here. From here, let's really look at some of the ways that we can really stand out from competition through guidance, right? Not annoyance. From podcast to pipeline, how do we scale and align media to the sales cycle? And consistency doesn't have to be redundant. We always log into LinkedIn. We see so much content every single day. Um, I'll be the first one to say I have muted a few folks along the way. The influencer types. Maybe they didn't have a huge following, but they were influencing, posting all sorts of stuff all the time. But a lot of it was reposting. A little bit redundant. Wasn't specific to me or this audience in particular. How do we make sure that we're creating consistent content that isn't redundant, but that is interesting, that is, leading someone to want to check out more, want to come back to your page, want to come back to your website and see what have they done lately, right? Let's create interesting content that lets people think, wow, that was an interesting guest. Wow, how did they get that guest on? Right. So we'll walk through how easy it is to get others participating with you and allowing really your sales team too, and engineers and marketers to create content that matters. Let's walk through it. There's really a few different funnels, or parts of the funnel that we want to fill. Um, let's look at the top of funnel, right? We want to create all these different pieces that fill the top of the funnel, the middle funnel, the bottom funnel. Every piece of content has a space in this process. Ultimately, we want to stuff it at the very top there in the funnel and really stuff it so much that we start pushing deals through to the middle to the bottom and they just start flowing, popping, just like popcorn. Uh, to do this effectively, really our sales team should think of their content creation in the same way they think of their sales cycle outreach. Naturally, right? Let's focus on the top of funnel. This is where we'll need a more scalable approach. That's where we got to stuff as much as we can into it. This is where this stage can really be thought of or considered, pictured as casting as wide a net as possible. We want to create a reusable, really widely appealing content style and piece that draws people into our funnel. So as I mentioned, right, with LinkedIn, I want to create things that people say, "Hey, that was interesting. Hey, that's an interesting guest," or "Hey, these guests have been in my space. This is interesting. I need to check them out more." Um, Really, your goals here are to make sure companies know that you exist and really start to see you or the person creating the content as an expert. So these pieces of content, this type of media, should focus on really a few things: educating the audience on industry topics, trends, challenges, right? We're in conversations all the time with different people in different stages of their digital experience and different stages of their, manufacturing innovation, maybe their process of automating their factory floor. Let's be able to talk about those challenges when you hear something new. Let's talk about trends. Perhaps you're getting a lot of common questions. And then let's talk about industry topics. As we go from show to show, we go from conference to conference, we're hearing from the best and brightest. So let's take that. Let's piggyback off of that and create some content. So I want to share with you an example here, really of just being top of mind. How do we make sure we're top of mind and create some of this content that's a little bit interesting. So, Brent Smith here has become a bit of an influencer himself. He does these Monday minutes essentially where he goes on walks and he's known as the guy walking and talking. So, people enjoy his nature, walks and talks, and really providing some good insight. So, he talks about, again, industry topics, trends, and challenges. And through the platform studio, he's able to just record this video, give a little bit of direction, and say, here are some statistics to show on the screen, and then voila. Brent Smith here, the salesperson, has an easy way to create content, share it to his audience, share it to his customers, share it to his group, and really create that mind share. So, I'd love to see in the comments perhaps Don, Sarah, and Terry, what are some things that you're seeing your sales team do? Or what are some things that you'd like to see them do more of? Put those in the comments and we'll revisit that here. But go ahead and shoot those in the comments and I'll get to you here shortly. So you see Brent Smith, right? He does a good job of showing statistics, does a good job of creating on a consistent basis, which is something that we touched on early and made sure people understand. Consistency is key, right? Obviously, that's a massive key ingredient. It helps you show up on news feeds more. It helps you show up on Google News more, etc. People start to associate you with this type of content, this type of thought leadership, and people really start to engage, right? They comment, they share, they see someone else they know like your content. It's a full circle. So, Don, saw your comment there. Small clips of the elevator pitch on social media or via email. Would love to see more and more of these small clips of the elevator pitch on social or via email. What's great about Studio is you can actually go in and create these small clips. So as a salesperson, I can go in and create an elevator pitch right here. And then I can request an edit. As you can see, some of these are edited already. Let me see if I've got one that needs editing. Request edit now. So I can go in and request that edit and say, hey, I'd like to create 4 to 5 different 30-second clips that are upbeat and exciting, really capture an audience. I want to be able to share this on social. You can easily do that now. Your team has the ability to do that right there within the platform. So get in there and try it. Encourage the sales team to do it. Sarah, wanting them to have more one-to-one content to send to prospects. Um, Gosh, it's almost like you read my mind. As a well-conditioned salesperson here at MarketScale, I was doing just that this morning. Let me show you a fun example here. Was working with a really cool battery manufacturing company out of Philly. Sorry, Don. I think y'all are kind of regional competitors there, Philly and Massachusetts, Philly and Boston. But this is an example of something that I sent today. I sent some studio mail, so one-to-one content to send to prospects. I went into the platform and I sent the marketer, Harold, a quick email with video on it. I sent also another person a request to create a video, to create some feedback to me about what they'd like to see more in the market scale overview. So pretty cool, easy way. I'll show you actually the one that I created for Harold. This was this morning, so this was the video. I just got in there and mentioned a few things that were top of mind. Terry, chiming in, sales sometimes gets unique access to partners or industry leaders at trade shows. Absolutely. I love seeing videos from shows coming back with more thought leadership content. 100%. Shows are great, great ways to capture content, not just for your own company, but for your salespeople as well. It shows that you're there, right? You're building this sort of affinity, which, going back to our slide here, um, is really important. So, building affinity is really the middle funnel. We're creating content and sharing it on LinkedIn, and from there, we're doing all sorts of things with partners. We're doing things on the show floor. We're making sure that we're tagging along with the big trade show association, tagging along with some of those big, bright industry speakers that are, on the panels and on the keynote stage. So when you think of affinity, you really have a unique way to connect yourself to these prospects, if you will. Trust is an essential part, obviously, of the sales process, the sales cycle, and oftentimes our prospects. We're talking here as marketers all together in the B2B world. Our prospects don't want to be the first to do something new and exciting. From an automation perspective, they don't want to be the first one to, um, you know, adopt that new technology, that new software. They haven't used it before. They're scared. They haven't heard of their peers in their space. Maybe they're not the largest one in the industry, and so people like them haven't done this sort of thing. They haven't seen it. Even if you find it interesting, they don't want to be the first. So building trust is essential. Without affinity, our solutions can seem risky, obviously, right? And it might hurt our partnership chances. So highlighting other partners has a dual benefit, two ways. One, obviously, shows we're credible. Look, we're working with people like you. You may not have seen it, but we're working with people like you. It builds social proof. And two, it builds reliability. I want to show my show, Getting Smart. So getting smart is great for me from a salesperson's perspective, from someone who's in the IoT manufacturing space. When I'm talking to a company, whether it's large or whether it's small, whether it's 3M, as you can see here with Carl Doxson, or whether it's with Dan Alford, who's, just a systems integrator, just a systems integrator. He's one of the leading systems integrators for FANUC, actually got awarded the Integrator of the Year award. But again, trying something new. Don't want to be the first, but I do want to trust that you guys can help solve my problems. So, um, shows that we're credible. So from my perspective, MarketScale, when I'm talking to some of these companies at FabTech or Modex, Pack Expo, and so forth, Automate, shows that are relevant to my industry, it's easy for me to connect with some of these executives. It's easy for me now to go to these shows and capture some great content. I do a great job of making sure I capture what's going on at the show. So you can see Bastion Solutions at ProMat talking about their new forklift manufacturing autonomous capabilities. We talk with Schneider Electric in modernizing the different ways people are building this digital infrastructure. Beckhoff changing the game with magnetic levitation. So things that I might not be an engineer and be able to speak to, but guess what? I'm speaking to these people. I am helping these people, and we're helping these companies. So you can start to see, as a prospect, some of your industry colleagues, some of your industry peers along the way. So when Brandon reaches out and says, "Hey, I've had 3M. Hey, I know Carl," or you see my show from LinkedIn when I've been posting on a consistent, relevant basis, you start to say, "Hey, I know some of these faces. Wow, okay, you already talked to them, already work with them. Amazing." That's the power of having media help you through the funnel, top of funnel, middle funnel. We're building affinity here. Um, as I mentioned, you're able to cover the shows. So when you're going to trade shows and celebrating some of the partnerships there, you're able to really give during the sales process. So sales teams, oftentimes it's just about closing a deal. How can you be generous though? Right? Is it a free trial? Is it, hey, you can, talk to one of our partners. What if we just created a piece of content with you and help you share your story on LinkedIn or on our social pages and let you just run with it, share it to your in your email blast, that sort of thing. It'd be really awesome. You can do that with your own podcast channel, with your own studio where you're creating, interview clips from the show itself. Hey, I want to create a cool video. I actually have a good example here of, I think it was Calvary TV. Yes, celebrating their partners at shows. So giving through the process. So at a trade show, hear from our partners, Epson, right? Omron, Staubli Robotics, Kuka Robotics. So just going to these um, events, going to these booths and talking about, hey, what is Kuka doing to help innovate in this space? We'd love to capture a quick video and post it and publish you guys. I love it. This is great. Why wouldn't they want to do that? They just got a free piece of content. They're getting added exposure from you now. They're able to share that out. We really empowered this person here on the screen, and they're going to remember that. It really just strengthens either the relationship that's already existing or strengthens that trust process in the sales cycle. So, a lot of really cool ways to help celebrate and give during the sales process. Um, you know, not only is it cool to perhaps celebrate what they're doing at a show or this new product by using them or using the trade show as a platform or the floor or the stage to create something with them and celebrate. Hey, we give you something. Let's bring them on podcasts as well. So you might see a familiar face here because I had him on my show, Carl Doxson. Let's celebrate them, bring them on to your show and position them as a thought leader. There's all sorts of ways you can do that um, by inviting them on and letting them share their voice and their perspective. So um, from there, what's interesting, you can see how some of these people have brought on other thought leaders, other industry minds. For those not familiar with the Association for Advancing Automation, this is Jeff Bernstein. He's the president of the association. It's pretty incredible. People pay a lot of money. Marketers, companies pay a lot of money to be on these publications for the industry associations. It's awesome. You get that added exposure. You're part of the ecosystem. At the end of the day, you go to these shows, we all have the same kind of saying, same phrase. Um, it's a small world. It's a tight knit community. Let's share in that. Let's create our own media pages like you see here with Jeff, and let's bring them on ours, right? Jeff is going to share that podcast out regardless, but let's at least have our brand, our logo, our person's face and voice on there with him. So again, um, easy way to give. To create top of funnel, to create affinity, right? You're bringing on familiar faces. You're bringing on people that maybe they partner with or are involved with a lot, and so forth. So let's celebrate their success. Let them educate the wider community through their expertise. Let's really light it up and give them a great experience that they're excited for, that they'll also share out. The compounding exposure on that is really really awesome. And guess what? As a salesperson trying to close, you're filling the top of funnel as people start to like it, as people start to share it. You're going through the affinity stage um, with these prospects as well, because you are sharing people that they know. And that they can also tap into, say, hey, MarketScale, hey, my company. So it's pretty cool. Utility pieces. We'll kind of go through the end here and close out with utility pieces. It's near the bottom of the funnel, right? We've interviewed some cool people through our podcast. We've got some neat content. We've got those one-on-one kind of smaller social clips of our elevator pieces that we're sending out. We've got more one-to-one content to send to prospects. We're sharing things from the trade show floor and publishing those. We are filling this funnel. We are creating affinity. It's time to close more often now. Let's close some of those while we're continuing to stuff the funnel. So as we near the bottom, we have a chance to really get specific, really personalized, and ultimately strategic. You know what works best for your company. You know what works best for your partners. And your sales team knows what to do to get someone over the line, whether it's bringing in a colleague, bringing in an engineer. Your main focus is to answer any final questions, differentiate through executive or corporate alignment, really finalize your value prop. So, want to share a pretty cool example for you here. And as in the B2B space specifically. Um, I think it's important to um, recognize obviously your audience and your final decision makers, but let's really align around some of those technical pieces. I know for a fact in our world, in the industrial manufacturing world, engineers want to hear from their peers. They don't want to hear from the salesperson who might be an engineer by trade. But let's get the engineer in here talking. So, what better way to do that than get some of your engineers on camera? You can simply get into the platform, MarketScale Studio, right? And request, just get in there and request a piece of content from your engineers. Let them talk to that specific technical piece and let them really share their voice and allow it to kind of finalize that value prop. Um, a piece I really wanted to share with you guys is this. It's probably one of the best pieces I've seen in a while. It's an RFP video, or there was a video for an RFP process that one of our partners, in our community here in Touch Controls, decided to create. So they're going into the boardroom, they're submitting a proposal, they're presenting it. They start off the meeting with a wonderful video aligning around corporate vision, aligning around executive vision, aligning around what the company that they're pitching is really all about and how InTouch aligns with those and how they can help expand on those and really help them deliver on those things too. So this is a wonderful, wonderful video. I will share this in a link here for the team. You know what? Let me just copy an external link and I'll put it in the chat so you guys can check it out directly. But really, really cool video. You can see we added video from the actual company. From REI, we've all probably seen REI or been there or bought some things from there. So they created video, integrated it in with their own executive teams, their own, this is the CEO, their own technical teams. The salesperson gets in as well, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful way to really personalize, humanize, and engage more differently than the other people that are putting together the RFP in that process. So it's a really interesting way that people can use the platform. They can use podcasting and they can use studio to create content that matters, to create content that people are going to engage with and ultimately close deals with. So um, excited to kind of finish up with everything. We talked about really making sure that we're creating consistent content, educational content, things that are actually engaging, not just another video on LinkedIn. Invite your partners, folks. Invite them on. Invite the salespeople. Invite your colleagues and have some fun with it. I encourage every one of you this week, think of 3 or 4 people that would lend a voice, a good voice to the conversation and have a lot of fun with it. So let's see what we can create together and really fill the funnel. And the more we fill it, the more we pump out new business. So excited for y'all. We're here for y'all. We're rooting y'all on. We can't wait to see your success. If you have any questions, or maybe you saw a piece of content here today that you recognize a few faces, hit me up. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Excited to talk about that, and looking forward to getting together here shortly or seeing you at our next trade show. Our house is your house. Come check out our studios in Dallas sometime. Don, you've got a great, great fall foliage coming. If you get tired of it, come to Dallas. It'll still be green. And Sarah, great to see you from Denver. We love it there. Come to Texas some of these times, and we'll get together. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, connect with me on LinkedIn. Reach out to your strategist, to your team, and happy to get together. Hope all is well. You'll have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next one.